The Aussie real estate market has proven to be extremely resilient over the years. Every time it looks like we've got an almighty property crash looming, it never seems to be that bad, and generally we have a boom on the other side of that. In fact, the Australian real estate market has proven to be a great investment over the past few decades. But is this time it's different? Are the headwinds of interest rates and inflation enough to finally slay the beast that is the Australian property market? In today's video, we're going to put forth the argument as to why the Australian property market can do the unthinkable and move to all-time highs in the coming years. Hey guys, in this video we're going to put an argument forward for why the Australian real estate market can skyrocket in the coming years. We're going to go into the current interest rate situation, we're talking infrastructure and immigration. I'm also going to deliver a stark warning to borrowers, so it's not all going to be one way for the property bulls. Interest rates can get really complicated. There's a lot I could say about interest rates, but today I'm just going to make one point here. It's intended to be a general argument for why interest rates can't remain this high. Guys, I want you to take a look at the US debt clock. What has the debt clock got to do with interest rates? Putting it simply, we do whatever the US will do when it comes to interest rates. Like it or not, this is a high probability. If you look at the clock, you can see that the US total debt is 31 trillion. Let's do some simple math here. Let's make an assumption that all of the debt has a 2% interest rate. I'm being pretty easy on them here. We can easily calculate what the US debt repayments are. Well, not that easy because my trusty handheld calculator doesn't have enough zeros. So I just had to ask Google. Anyway, the figure is 620 billion. That's the interest on 31 trillion at 2% interest rate. That means that they're spending 1.4 trillion more than what they're earning. Now stick with me here because this is important. Even if all of the government debt was wiped out, the US would still be spending more than what they earn. This means they need to keep borrowing more and more money to get by. So here's the crux of the argument. The US need to drop interest rates because it'll just keep on increasing their debt repayments, which they can't even afford anyway, remember? Australia will do whatever the US does when it comes to monetary policy. I did my best to find some data here that would easily paint a picture on how much we're spending on infrastructure when compared with the last 10 years. And it's surprisingly not that easy to find. So I'm going to get you to just think about all of the road work, especially if you live in a capital city. There's work getting done literally everywhere, and it's because governments love infrastructure spending because it creates jobs for everyone. Forget about the fact that they're borrowing money to create those jobs, of course. Let me go through a few examples. Melbourne's rail tunnel loop to go around the middle ring suburbs. The first stage from Cheltenham to Box Hill is expected to cost about 35 billion. Now, there's 4 or 5 stages to this, and with the way government projects go, you're probably odds on to say that it's going to be double in the cost. You can throw in the Melbourne Metro Tunnel, the Westgate Tunnel, the Airport Rail Link in on that as well. In New South Wales, you've got the WestConnex, you've got the Sydney Metro, you've got the new airport coming. I could just keep going on with these infrastructure projects, but I think you get my point, guys. The argument here is the infrastructure demand is going to drive job shortages, which is going to drive incomes up. Incomes up means people can borrow more money, and we all know what happens to the property market when people can get more money. Make no illusions, this property market is fueled by debt, and that's what's going to push it further. Before I start on immigration, we all know the housing shortage issues, right? There's not enough properties and we can't build them fast enough. Even if there's no immigration, there's still a problem. Throw on top of that all of the movement of Australian citizens throughout the COVID period, which was a major factor for real estate in certain regional areas to skyrocket. Okay, back to overseas immigration. This from the ABS. In the year ending June 30, 2022, overseas migration contributed to a net gain of 171,000 to Australia's population, and Australia is on track for a net migration of more than 300,000 people in this year, 2023. Do you remember learning about supply and demand back in high school? It's easy to paint a very simple equation which equals one way for the Australian property market. Guys, this video is about making an argument for a property boom. It doesn't mean that if it happens it's going to be a good thing for the country, because it's not. And here's my warning for borrowers. We've had 30 years of rates cycling down. Now that tide may have turned, and the risk is that you get wiped out because the rates go up and you can't afford the debt repayments. Same way it's happened for thousands of years. Everyone has their blinkers on here, and in my opinion, the prevailing attitude is still too speculative, and that's despite the fact that rates have more than doubled in under a year. Remember, I'm a mortgage broker. I'm on the front line here. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow. What I'm saying is debt is an opportunity and a risk, so you need to think carefully about that. If you like this video, I have another one coming on arguments for a property market crash, so please like and subscribe. Guys, I'm enjoying the chatter in the comments. Please go for it. Even if you disagree with some of the stuff I've said, just be nice to each other. There's nothing worse than keyboard warriors. Till next time.